Welcome to Rare Moments, where we observe some of the strangest moments on Earth. And slowly decode them through a scientific point of view, so we can see that behind every unbelievable sight, there is always a fascinating story from nature. The scene in Minnesota shows that nature can create astonishing movement even out of ice. In just a few minutes, massive sheets of ice pushed into a residential area and completely changed the lakeside landscape. What do you think is more frightening, the speed of it happening in just 15 minutes or the enormous force of the moving ice?
Bush. No, 911's not gonna help, but it's going into their house. Okay.
If you can see the image of Jesus, feel free to leave the number 8 in the comments. This is a polar bear, a species that usually lives in the icy regions around the Arctic Ocean. When sea ice melts or food becomes scarce, they can move closer to human settlements in search of something to eat. Signs of seasonal change have appeared in the northern United States as rising temperatures begin to melt the thick ice that built up through winter. Where are you watching this video from, and what is the weather like where you are right now? Have you ever seen something like this so-called reverse waterfall at Kinder Scout? When strong winds reach speeds of dozens of miles per hour, they can blow the water upward and completely change the direction of the falling stream. Before extreme weather arrives, when cold air from a storm pushes hard into the warm, humid air ahead of it, the sky can suddenly turn dark and look almost like the end of the world. The scene in Soligorsk shows how quickly the atmosphere can change the light over an entire city. A mass of cold air, fine dust, and strong wind came together to create a dark veil across the sky.
Всё, ночь. Сколько, 5 часов?
A dust devil once swept unexpectedly across the beach in Cefalù, Sicily, sending sand everywhere and causing many people to panic and run. This phenomenon forms when hot air close to the ground rises quickly and begins to spin, creating a column of wind that lifts sand and dust into the air. Fortunately, no serious injuries or major damage were reported. These giant tube-shaped morning glory clouds form when cold and moist air currents collide, creating long, rolling atmospheric waves that can stretch for miles across the sky. In the waters of Indonesia, this tiny creature stands out with its transparent pink shell, a rare kind of natural beauty that people almost never get the chance to see this closely. If this moment made you smile, do not forget to give us a share. The sea angel is a soft-bodied marine creature about 2 inches long, part of the plankton community in the Arctic and Antarctic seas. It has a transparent body and lives in very cold water, around 34 to 36 degrees Fahrenheit, at depths of up to about 65 feet. Through a creature like this, we can see that even the coldest oceans still hide tiny forms of life that are unbelievably beautiful. Crop circles are giant geometric patterns created by flattening crops such as wheat or barley. They have appeared mostly in southern England since the late 1970s. Although they are often linked to theories about unidentified flying objects, most crop circles have been shown to be human-made using wooden boards and rope. Even so, they continue to attract public attention. Nudibranchia is a shell-less sea slug with extremely vivid colors. What is amazing is that it can also store toxins or stinging cells taken from its prey to protect itself in the ocean. The ellipsis ray moves with wide fins that work like wings, allowing it to glide underwater in a way that feels very close to how birds move through the air.
Me saca la cabeza a respirar, ¿eh? Может, могу добиться.
At first glance, many people might think this is some strange pattern made by the waves. But in reality, it may be a trace left by creatures living beneath the sand as they dig burrows and push wet sand up to the surface while feeding or moving. If you saw this in real life, would you think it was a flying device, an atmospheric phenomenon, or something even more mysterious? And if you understand this phenomenon, well, do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. When strong wind carries sand away in thin layers, it creates an effect that looks like streams of water flowing across the beach. A cloud-like object was recorded in the sky over Philadelphia, with unusually strange movement, creating a phenomenon that even local meteorologists found difficult to explain. This man is sitting in his car and enjoying the rain in his own way. What is the first thought that comes to your mind when you watch this scene? Share it with us in the comments. You may be surprised to learn that flamingos can sense changes in air pressure and humidity from as far as 311 miles away. They are gathering and moving together in flocks to improve their chances of survival ahead of Storm Nisarga. The Atacama Desert in Chile, one of the driest places on Earth, was suddenly hit by flooding when the Copiapo River overflowed after heavy rain. What makes this so remarkable is that some parts of this region had not recorded rainfall for decades. Please leave a like as a wish for safety and peace for the places now facing the harsh power of nature. At first glance, many people might think this is a mud flow after heavy rain, but in this case, the cause lies deep inside soil that had remained frozen for a long time. When permafrost begins to thaw, it releases water into the ground and makes the whole mass unstable. What we are seeing is one of the most dangerous phenomena that can appear during a wildfire. Hot air rises rapidly and creates a rotating column that pulls in dust ash and dry plant debris. The result is a spinning tower of fire that can move and spread the blaze into other areas. In the United States, this phenomenon is often called a dust devil. It appears mostly in desert regions where hot sand heats the air and sends it rising quickly, forming a spinning column that carries dust and sand upward. If this showed up near where you live, how do you think people would react? If you were in this situation, would you dare to act the way that man did? The vortex in Chapada Diamantina National Park looks like a small tornado dancing across the ground. But this is a dust devil. It forms when the ground becomes intensely heated and warm air begins to rise very quickly. The Rainoculus is a remarkable water feature at Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. It creates a giant whirlpool, delivers a stunning visual effect, helps cool the space, and allows water to be reused for the surrounding green areas. What would be the very first thing you would do if you suddenly found yourself in the middle of a giant tuna frenzy? This is the bonding behavior of a pair of great horned owls, a large bird of prey in the Americas that often shows affection through gentle contact and mutual care before breeding season. At first glance, these baby stingrays look like they are performing for the camera. But every flap of their fins is part of how they swim, sense the current, and control their bodies. A giant whirlpool appeared at Lake Texoma Reservoir. It formed when excess water was pulled down into the drainage system after heavy rain.
Through it.
What makes this so intriguing is that the moment the log was thrown in, it was quickly pulled into the spinning motion of the water. That is a clear sign that a very powerful concentrated current is moving beneath the surface.
Come out the other end. Let's go over and see. If a log comes out over here, I'm going to be really impressed. Oh my God! Yes, there it is.
What's gonna happen to this boat? Are they gonna get sucked up?
Do you think the boat operator was simply too confident, or did he fail to judge the strength of the current correctly?
Why did they do that? They just broke their boat.
Dust devil is a phenomenon that happens when hot air near the ground rises quickly and begins to spin, pulling in dust and forming a small rotating column for a short time. A small dust devil, but strong enough to sweep away the old man's stall. This unexpected visitor appeared when hot air rose from the ground and began to spin, forcing the game to pause for a few moments. This layer of ice forms when waves keep splashing water onto trees while temperatures stay below freezing. A massive group of seals covering an entire ocean beach, gathering there to rest, breed, and protect one another from predators. What we are seeing is a type of cloud that appears before a storm. It forms when colder air pushes hard into the warm air ahead of it, creating a giant wall cloud that can disappear very quickly before it even produces rain. Have you ever seen an unusual cloud in the sky where you live? This is a massive storm cloud colored by sunset light. It happens when sunlight from a low angle passes through a thicker layer of atmosphere and highlights the dense structure of the storm cloud just before the weather begins to change. This is a rare atmospheric phenomenon in which the shadow of the observer is enlarged and surrounded by a ring of light, then projected onto clouds. It is also known as the Brocken specter. What we are seeing is thousands of millipedes migrating across stone slabs in Taiwan. What makes this remarkable is that after a long dry period, one heavy rain can trigger a mass movement. With thousands of them crawling over the rocks at once, the ground almost turns into a living current. Next is a case of twin elephant birth, an extremely rare event in nature. It happens in less than 1% of births. What makes it even more remarkable is that elephant mothers carry their young for a very long time, so giving birth to twins places enormous pressure on both the mother and the calves. That is why every twin elephant birth is considered such a special moment.
He's right.
What we are seeing is Knudsen Cove Marina in Ketchikan, Alaska, where whales can sometimes appear very close to boats. With water depths ranging from about 60 to 95 feet, this area is deep enough for large marine animals to move close to shore. What we are seeing is a massive locust swarm in Western Sahara. After rare desert rains, the sudden rise in moisture can trigger explosive breeding, creating swarms of millions that darken the sky.
Wow, Kalia, look at him. He's huge. Hey there, bud.
This is a moose, one of the largest deer species in the world. Sometimes it comes close to cities when food in the wild becomes scarce.
You just gonna send it? Yeah?
This one's probably about the length of our boat, but
What we are looking at is a blue whale, an animal that can grow to more than 100 feet long and weigh about 400,000 pounds, equal to the weight of more than 30 adult African elephants combined. This is known as cactus buck, a rare condition in male deer. When hormone balance is disrupted, the antlers do not shed on their normal cycle. Instead, they keep growing in a dense tangled form and stay covered in velvet all year. After heavy rain, the volume of water rushing in increases sharply, making Iguazu Falls much more violent than usual. Would you dare to stand on a bridge like the thousands of visitors there?
Del mediodía, muchachos, los pagos de Pla. ¿Qué me cuentan de esto? Mira lo que es un pasto. Mira un pasto.
One patch of grass was completely frozen while the surrounding area looked almost normal. This rare phenomenon happens when moisture and cold air become concentrated in one small spot on the ground.
Mira el hielo. Mira el vino. Mira. Mira el pasto.
You are looking at a colony of Tubastrea coccinea growing beneath the waters of Los Arcos, where thousands of tiny coral polyps live together and create a bright structure like an underwater garden. On a scale from 1 to 10, how many points would you give this bubble net hunting strategy by the whales? They work together to blow bubbles in a circle trap the fish and then rise from below in one incredibly precise moment.
There we go.
What we are looking at is an extremely rare two-headed turtle. Cases like this are very uncommon in nature, and they are most often recorded in reptiles or amphibians. You may not know this, but the octopus is known as the escape master of the ocean. Because its body has no bones, it can squeeze through extremely narrow gaps. This mysterious-looking event happens when pressure inside a tunnel rises suddenly and forces water and compressed air outward with great force. It looks like something from science fiction, but it is actually rocket exhaust at high altitude, reflecting sunlight and creating strange bands of light across the night sky. This rare phenomenon appeared in California after record winter rains, when the dry desert suddenly burst into bloom for a short time. Let us take a moment to admire this pod of dolphins swimming through glowing water off Newport Beach. This happens when bioluminescent plankton react to the movement of the water. Mammatus clouds appeared after a storm in Indianapolis. This rare phenomenon forms when cold air filled with moisture sinks from the base of a thunderstorm cloud, creating rounded glowing shapes beneath the light of sunset. People can touch a cloud when moist cold air condenses at a very low altitude, turning the cloud into a thick layer of fog right on the ground.
¡Wow! Miren eso, por favor. ¿Qué onda?
Thousands of birds fill the sky at sunset. This happens when they gather into large flocks to move, search for food, or respond to changes in light and weather.
No, qué hermosura, por Dios.
So the bat started. Seeing if I can get close enough. A bat. Wow. Yeah, look at that.
This is a fall streak whole cloud. It forms when ice crystals appear inside a cloud layer and cause the surrounding moisture to evaporate, leaving a large opening in the sky, as if it has been punched through. This strange light in the sky over Volgograd was created when sunlight near the horizon reflected off ice crystals or vapor trails high in the atmosphere. You have just watched a fascinating episode of Natural Phenomena. If you have ever witnessed anything strange like this yourself, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring unusual events through a scientific lens, do not forget to follow the channel. See you in the next video.